Welcome and welcome back, everybody. T here, and in today's episode of SIMP City, we are going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite board game designers, and that is Kane Klenko. He is an American designer who has created several games, most notably using dice in some very unique ways. And he has also helped to direct some of the art for Renegade games. Without further ado, let's just jump into some of the amazing games of his that I absolutely love. First up on the list is a very mysteriously veiled game, and that is Covert. Covert is a set collection game that has elements that, for me, make it feel a little bit like a pick up and deliver game. In the game, you are going to be traveling around as a spy, trying to collect evidence and go to different locations in order to complete missions. I really love the dice drafting in this game and the various things that you can do with dice. All of the cards are multi-use as well. You can use them to fill objectives for certain purposes. There are tickets which can fly you to different locations. And you can also even use dice not only to acquire cards, but to crack the safe to get different items, which I thought was a really clever way of using dice in this theme of espionage, evidence collection, breaking safes. It feels very immersive, but I think this is one of the ways that you can utilize dice in a highly strategic game where it doesn't feel too random and there are a lot of different mitigation aspects because, again, the dice aren't used for one purpose. The cards aren't used for one purpose. There are many different means to get to the goal that you need to get to, and there are many means to select different goals that you can then utilize the components that you have in front of you to get to. So this one's a really crunchy, interesting way that all of these little elements work together, and they come together in a very seamless and thematic way in Covert. The next game on this list is a real-time dice management puzzle game, and that is Fuse. In Fuse, you are trying to work together cooperatively to take dice of different colors and values to defuse the bomb before the timer runs out. If you're a fan of real-time games like I am, if you're a fan of dice like I am, if you're a fan of puzzle games like I am, this one's really cool. It kind of reminds me of Blueprints or Tumbletown, where you're taking dice and stacking them based on colors and values, but in Fuse, you're doing it cooperatively and with the time crunch, and it is a challenging game. So based on the cards that you get, you have to put out dice that fulfill that particular card. And as you can see here, the iconography is pretty clean. Everything works together really well. There are explosions, there are penalties. If you have dice that people can't take, it's very cooperative because you're drafting from that central pool, making sure everybody can take something that they can use. Otherwise, you will assume penalties for your entire team. This is a really fun, fast-paced, quick game. I think that you can play it with just about anybody if they're down for real-time dice games, and it's definitely one that is a lot of fun whether you win or lose. And next up, we have the sequel to Fuse, which is Flatline. Flatline is another real-time dice management cooperative game that takes place after Fuse. Basically, you are in the hospital rolling dice, which will be different medicines and different treatments for patients after the explosion of the bomb. And you're going to be working together to cooperatively roll dice and place them out on patients. Now, this game I do tend to like a little bit more than Fuse because there's a 1-minute timer for the rounds. And in between that, you can take as much time as you want to resolve the effects, to discuss strategies going into the next round, and to prepare the game. So it has that nice give and flow of real-time elements, but it's not a frantic sprint for 10 minutes like Fuses. You have time to recollect. So it's got a lot of tension and pressure during those 1-minute timers, but it's not to where it's constant and stressful throughout the entire playthrough of the game. This is a game that I never hesitate to play. It is one of my top games that if somebody suggests it or suggests that they like real-time dice games or cooperative games, I will always recommend it. It's one that I've brought pretty much to every convention that I've ever been to because I just think it's such a unique and fun, exciting game. And again, whether you win or lose, the process of playing is just such a blast. In my experience, it's always been a nail biter. Even times where we thought, oh man, round 2, we're definitely going to lose. There's no way we can get through. Sometimes we eke out a win, or we at least get super close. Sometimes when you think it's a steal, it gets down to that last patient and you fail by just one line on a patient. So this is a really cool one if you're into, again, real-time dice, cooperative games, anything like that. The next game on the list is actually a dexterity game that also starts with the letter F, and that is flip ships. Flip ships has those Space Invader vibes where you are going to be having a descending line of aliens coming down towards you. Cooperatively, you'll have your own ships that you're going to flip out onto that grid of cards in order to destroy them. And if you're feeling very ambitious, you can even try to flip directly into the mothership to deal some extra damage. As ships descend and as the game gets more tense and you move up levels, you'll also get unique upgrades that are specific to your fleet and higher powered ships. I think this game has a really cool game arc, and even though it is a dexterity game, it is pretty strategic with planning which of your team are going to utilize ships and special powers to target certain areas on the board. If you're a fan of dexterity games and you haven't tried this one out yet, unfortunately it is out of print, but the good news is that it has been reprinted recently as Space Invaders. So the gameplay, to my knowledge, is almost identical. The only little differences are obviously the art for the game. I'm a fan of the original Quantai Moria arts, but understandably, if you want to try this game or if you have nostalgia for old 8-bit video games, Space Invaders is a great alternative to the original version. And last but not least on my quick list of my all-time favorite Kane Klenko games, you've probably already guessed it if you've been around here on the channel, but that is Dead Men Tell No Tales. So in case you're not familiar and you're not sick of hearing me talk about this game, Dead Men Tell No Tales is a cooperative style game where you're going to be looting a burning ship, fighting off hordes of undead enemies, and trying to escape before the ship goes up in flames. There are so many cool little thematic elements in this game, like tracking your fatigue as you go through hotter rooms. The treasure weighs you down and hinders your movement and the actions you can do. There is a nice balance of combat with the actual undead army skeletons that you fight, which are pogs, and clearing out deckhands, which you just do with a particular action. There are unique items that you can get, and the Kraken expansion, ooh, it just takes it to a new level that is so immersive because there's a Kraken attacking all sides of the boat. It pops up tentacles, and when it does so, you have to combat them, but it also brings water up, which can lower the fire level, which can be actually a better thing in some cases to allow that to happen. Like, there's so many cool strategic things, and although everything in this game is open information, which I'm not usually a fan of in cooperative games, there's so much going on, and each player has so many unique things that they can do specific to their character and their items and their position on the board that it's really hard for one person to sit there and analyze everything and kind of take over a role as an alpha gamer. Of course you could, but with this game, it doesn't happen or invite that as much as some other maybe more easy or less detailed cooperative games go. Now, that being said, there's not so much detail that it's hard to play. The basic concepts are very straightforward and they make sense thematically, which makes this one a really fun, easy teach that's very immersive with a lot of really cool options and opportunities to discuss and collaborate. I have the original Minion Games printing. Unfortunately, with all of the complications with Minion Games Company, this was out of print for a very long time, but as you can maybe see here on the Board Game Geek page, there's a little Renegade icon down in the bottom corner because Renegade Games is doing a reprint of this game along with the Kraken expansion, and I believe the base game will now come with the actual little miniature standees for each of the pirates, which I had to track down separately, but if you're looking to get into this game now, it sounds like you'll be able to get all of that. So for all of you that are interested in picking up a copy, and again, if you're into cooperative games, this is one of my all-time favorites. If you're into solo games, this is one of my favorite games to solo with just like 2 or 3 pirates going around the boat. It's just an all-around great time and a banger. Everything comes together so nicely, just like I had said with Covert, and really brings out the theme with some exciting moments in gameplay. And overall, that's one of the things that I love about Kane Klenko's designs. Firstly, that he uses dice in new and unique ways, and that he has a wide array of different forms of games. I mean, Covert is a competitive game, Dead Men Tells No Tales is cooperative, Flip Ships is a dexterity game, Flatline and Fuse have real-time elements of dice rolling. And I love that he's not a designer that's pigeonholed into one idea and just rehashing it and repeating it. It seems like he's really innovating with a lot of games that he releases, and not only that, but does them so well. And even though these games are all different, the one thing that I find that I have in common with all of them is that they're games that I'm down to play any day of the week, anytime, with anyone. And some of my best gaming moments and experiences have been playing these games that I shared with you today on this list. That's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Again, that helps it get to a wider audience so they can hear about some of these amazing games. And don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the bell for notifications so that you can be notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you as always for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.